is an amendment? Okay, it is amendment. Okay, so go ahead, Councillor. So I've accepted Councillor Broadhead's main motion, so yours is an amendment. Go ahead.
Okay. The motion be amended so that the city manager performance evaluation work plan timetable include quarterly written performance reviews beginning Q4 of 2015.
Okay, so performance written reviews led by?
Led by HR. We can put that in there.
Oh, led by HR. Okay, led by Human Resources.
Are there any other details you think I need to include?
I just want to make sure we've, so beginning next week or next month.
Sometime in this quarter, yes.
Okay, so would that would that include input from council members, or what would that include?
That would be, well, city manager reports to council, so it would be, instead of having an annual report, in my vision, it would be a smaller review that the human resources would just get from us and compile and provide to the city manager.
I just want to be clear, because it's not 360, it's including performance reviews with input from city council?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we put that in there as well, Linda?
Okay. Did you have something, Mr. Draper?
Yes, a couple of thoughts. I think it would be helpful to have that council provide written quarterly performance reviews with assistance from the director. So just so it's clear that council is actually doing this work.
Okay, so
and from a timing standpoint,
let's just get the words right, because that's part of what I was trying to understand. So Councillor Hughes, that the city manager performance include quarterly performance reviews led by HR director?
How about from city council, led by the HR director?
Okay. Mr. Draper, you had something else?
A couple of things. I'm not, the way I read them, I understand your intent. I'm just trying to be helpful here. I'm not sure when it says include quarterly written report reviews from, we got from. There was input from city council. They should be city council led, not just with input from. So I'm not sure who was actually writing the performance reviews. Should it refer?
Well, we'd have to work. We'd have to work on that ourselves. So I guess the logistics of that, it could be any member of council.
This does need to say the director of human resources, so that it's not the human resources department.
Okay, so director of human resources.
And I don't agree that Q4 2015 is possible to start a brand new process.
Okay.
We're in November of Q4.
Okay, so I understand that, because I thought that we could develop a template after the fact.
So can we say Q1 of 2016?
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, the thing is that'll already be mandated because we're doing our annual review in Q1. So that would cover that. It wouldn't be two of them at the same time.
So Q1 of 2016. And who on city council is going to lead this? You're going to lead this?
Sure. I mean, maybe I can go into.
Well, I'm just trying to make sure we get the words right, because so that we know what we're voting on.
Well, how about I explain to you what I'm envisioning, and then you can tell me what I'm saying.
I'm going to accept the motion. Go ahead on debate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how I envision this is that the city human resources director would have a very mini, because the other one's quite extensive, a mini one where you can say, do you have any comments? Do you have any suggestions? Any input for this quarter? And so it'd be 1 to 2 questions, and then you would provide that submission back to the human resources director. They compile it into a report, and then it'd be provided to the city manager and to council for discussion a few weeks later. That's how I'm envisioning it. So it's not necessarily led by one member of council. It's all of council is going to put the input in and has the opportunity to provide their input on this. So there's several reasons why I'm suggesting this. For one thing is that right now we only have it once a year as far as a written performance review goes, or any type of evaluations. And that's just very difficult if you have anything you wanted to say and it's April or May and you're waiting an entire year before you put it on there, which just seems long and it's not timely at all in that type of fashion. I think it's important that we provide timely reports back to the city manager and not just verbally. That way it's a very clear indication what people are prepared to say and what people are prepared to write are often two different things. And I think that it's a good way to have a feedback mechanism. The other reason why I thought that this should come forward as such is, Mr. Belke, if you can grab this and put it on the overhead, is in Thorhill County, some people may be aware, but they had municipal affairs step in because they had issues with their council. and they were extensive. And the Municipal Affairs wrote a report of recommendations. And one of the recommendations they specifically wrote was number 17. They had many, but one of them that struck me was it said that council ensure annual CEO performance appraisals are conducted at a minimum, which is what we're doing as the minimum, with semi-annually or quarter reviews as a better practice. So I really thought, you know what, if they're recommending this for Municipal Affairs, we should be taking the lead on this and doing the best practices we can. And that way, Municipal Affairs certainly wouldn't be able to fault us if we're actually following recommendations they're giving to other councils. What we're doing right now is the bare minimum, and I think that as far as human resources goes and feedback, that we should be doing the best that we can to make sure that the city's going forward. That's what I have.
Councillor Russell on debate.
Mr. Mayor, I support the amendment. It makes more sense to me to do quarterly reports with council involved, have them written, and far better than the very prolonged and laborious process I see that's presented to us in that attachment. I'm in favor of this.
Thank you. Councillor McKay.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd also note in that same report there's another bullet recommendation from Municipal Affairs 19, and it's that the CAO and council review the CAO performance review process in order to ensure that the performance reviews are formative and that they represent the views as council as a whole. So in regards to this process, that's something else we should take a look at. I'm not sure they've done that in the past. Something that's more timely and can institute change and provide some feedback to the city manager on a more timely basis, I think would be very helpful, rather than a policy that provides feedback once per year. If it's a recommended best practice, that's something we should strive to be leaders in. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Osborne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure how I'm going to vote on this one. I certainly agree that providing timely feedback is important. We do have a monthly dialogue with our city manager, so that's a good opportunity as well. The other part of the challenge is that historically we've done the annual review process and several members of this council have not provided feedback. So I'm not sure trying to do quarterly, when we can't even get annually done with fully and completely how realistic that is. So I'll listen to the rest of arguments. I think we do need to provide feedback for all staff, and that's something that, obviously Mr. Draper is our staff, but ongoing feedback is something that we should be doing at our monthly dialogues as well. So anyway, I'll listen to the rest of arguments.
Councillor Herron.
I was actually thinking what Councillor Osborne just said. Our annual review doesn't always get the best participation from council, and I think that probably one of the problems with any city manager performance evaluation is the fact that we have differing opinions as a body of council, and we're trying to combine them into one concise feedback. So I think the quarterly idea might become a little bit more heavy on our workload and on staff's workload to no end. I think, as Councillor Osborne said, the monthly council CAO update that we have scheduled every month is probably a much better avenue for feedback and more timely, and I think we should be taking probably better advantage of that opportunity. Our city manager also invites us for one-on-ones, and I think that's a very good opportunity to give personal feedback, which he can then incorporate into his daily thought process. But I'm not really sure that this quarterly performance review is going to change the situation, help the situation, or do anything but add more workload to council and our Director of Human Resources.
Councillor Broadhead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess if the idea is to provide focused, relevant, timely feedback, then an annual review is not the best. I think the monthly dialogue with the city manager is all good. I believe, though, it also lacks structure, and I believe if you have a process that's led by the Director of Human Resources that provides a framework within which the comments can be made and an avenue for discussion, I think we'll be better off served. The interesting thing is that in the end, it's about consistent expectations Our city manager needs to understand the expectations that we have of him, and as councillors, we need to be clear in our own understanding of what those expectations are. Because when they're misaligned, fragmented, and differing opinions about what those expectations may in fact be, that's when conflict occurs. And so I think that, as quarterly reviews go, it's not a bad idea.
Thank you. Well, I'm hoping to change everybody's, or I don't know, everybody's mind, but if you believe quarterly reviews, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but this is the 10th time, or 9th or 10th time I've laid this process out as a mayor, just changes the dates, try to improve the process over a period of time. It's very laid out. I think the average, and obviously it could be me, I think the average returned documents over the past 10 years is about 4 out of 7. And last year, I think it was 3 out of 7. Congratulations. We're doing awesome. Now we're going to do it quarterly. We also had about 20 times this council's term opportunities to provide input to staff. The most recent one was the capital program, or the capital policy, the capital principles. I talked to Councillor Prefontaine on the weekend. We got 1 out of 7 provided input. After passing a motion that we would provide input, 1 out of 7. Now we're going to do this quarterly. You're going to fill a form in and send it to HR. I hope you vote no to this. Councillor Hughes, to close.
Asking somebody for input 11 months after the fact is a reason why people don't fill out forms. If you actually want to have input, you forget about it 6 months later. It's actually important we do it. When we have to provide input, if we have nothing, we have no problems with the documents, we don't provide anything. We say it's fine. If 2 people choose to write something or 4 people choose to write something in a quarter, it will give him feedback. And that's the key thing here, is this is a $150 million corporation that we've assigned 1 person to oversee. We need to be giving timely feedback, not 11 months, 10 months later, something that we can actually work on. Yes, we do meet. We don't meet every month. We meet every other month with the city manager. And sometimes you remember to write some things and some things you don't. But if you put it in a written format, it has a structure for when we do meet with the city manager so that we can actually have a constructive dialogue and not just simply, do we remember this or we don't. This is about creating the right level of structure and making sure that we actually have a defined way to do things. We can do this for 1 year as a pilot and see if it works. If no one has any input at all over the next year, then certainly when this comes back next year, we can say it's not necessary because we didn't use this tool. But I think that not offering this tool to council is doing a disservice to council, it's a disservice to the city manager, and it's a disservice to our city. Because when we're trying to direct a ship, we need to be giving more than just one direction indication per year.
Thank you. That's closed. Please vote. Vote's closed. Oh, I'm sorry. I need one more. Vote's closed. That's carried. Okay, so as amended, Councillor Broadhead. Yes, Mr.
Mayor, I
Draper.
need to provide some comments on the motion you just passed.
Yeah, okay.
I do appreciate feedback. I do work for council. I work for all 7 members of council. If this quarterly review process turns into a witch hunt where 1 or 2 members of council have particular issues that they want to put in writing so that they can lead to something future down the road, I'm going to have to seek legal advice in terms of this process you just approved. My annual performance review is established by process by council, and there's annual goals by which I'm measured by. So I will presume in a quarterly process that council will establish quarterly goals that the review will be measured by, and that this is not an open-ended forum for endless criticisms by certain members of council. So I will be seeking legal advice in terms of this process, and I will be closely monitoring exactly how council participates. Because if the feedback comes from 1 or 2 councils, as Councillor Hughes said, in a quarter, and I understand negative feedback, I'm anticipating that there will be a lot of negative feedback from 3 councillors in particular. I report to council. And if you think that putting comments from 1 or 2 of you in a document to me is going to serve some future purpose, I take direction from council. I will expect all 7 members of council to participate in a quarterly review.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Kraus, this is exactly why we need the quarterly review, is because every time I get
Thank you. Well,
feedback, it's this how
yeah.
we respond.
So we've voted on the quarterly review led by HR, not led by any member of council at all. This is led by HR and, or the director of HR. We've given her more work. Councillor Broadhead, as amended, go ahead, sir.
Mayor, I move that the City Manager Performance Evaluation Work Plan Timetable Attachment 1 to the Agenda Report dated November 2nd, 2015 include quarterly written performance reviews from City Council led by Human Resources Director beginning in Q1 of 2016.
Councillor McKay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This looks like a good process that can work in council in the city's interest, and all feedback is valuable, whether it's positive or negative, and now that it occurs on a timely basis, it can provide some meaningful direction in the way that the city goes and in regards to the management of the city. It's something that I felt was lacking for quite some time, and as the mayor pointed out, the annual reviews were not completed very frequently because they had no weight and no bearing on the process. This looks like something that we can work with to go forward and as a team, and hopefully get a better system in place and provide some reasonable feedback to change direction when mistakes are made. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Osborne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Certainly providing feedback is an important responsibility for any employer, and as council, it's no different for us. One of the things I think in light of this that we may need to look at is having the HR director come in and give us some kind of workshop or something on how to deliver effective feedback or performance evaluation. If we're gonna move forward with this, there's a way to give feedback in a developmental way that's useful, and I think that everybody would support that. So, Mr. Draper, I don't know if we need a formal motion for that, but I think that we would appreciate some help from the HR director on how to provide appropriate feedback. Thank you.
Councillor Herron.
Thank you. Due to the amendment, I'm actually not going to be supporting this right now. And I even was hesitant to support the original. I've been speaking to colleagues in the region, and a lot of them hire out somebody to facilitate this process because trying to work with 7 personalities can quite often be a struggle. So to have somebody interview and try to get through the muddle of the personalities and do a true performance appraisal would have been my preferred method, but with the amendment, I'm just not going to be supporting it tonight.
Councillor Hughes.
Thank you. We've already decided that we really didn't have time to do a private one this year, and perhaps we can plan for it next year. But this is the work plan we have, and if we were to change courses right now, nothing would be done on schedule. We have to understand that Human Resources put a lot into this. And I have every confidence that even with this amendment, that Human Resources will find a structured document that can provide positive feedback so we can move the city in a positive direction and put the structure that we require. And I think that's actually going to be a huge benefit when we provide feedback because we're going to have an actual mechanism to do it. So I have very high confidence that Human Resources can do that. And I think that Councillor Osborne's suggestion is an excellent one. So she can kind of give us a bit of a steering to make sure that we're doing this in the most efficient and beneficial manner for the city.
Councillor Russell.
Mr. Mayor, I listened very carefully to Councillor Osborne's suggestion, and I think we should pay a great deal of attention to that we have HR perhaps meet with council before we even start the process to find a way to do this in a positive fashion so that we make good use of the feedback, that we give guidance to the city manager, and it doesn't become just a bit session. So I like this idea, and I think that happens before the process starts.
Councillor Broadhead to close.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The evaluation is not necessarily a negative thing. Just as often in work performance evaluations, positive feedback is given, and it's an opportunity to encourage and an opportunity to focus on good things as well. So let's not lose sight of that particular positive element of performance evaluation. This is it's really performance evaluation for employees 101 in many respects, is that you got to have consistent and clear expectations from everybody, and it's in that people can work together towards a common goal, and to that end, I think this is going to be a positive experience going forward. And and quite honestly, I trust the members on the bench here will give it, due diligence and get the job done as appropriate. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Let's close. Please vote. Vote's closed. That's carried by majority. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 6.6. Ms. Diane Anger, please.